War does not only destroy cities and infrastructure, it attacks the mind first. History shows that people who survived prolonged conflicts were rarely the strongest or the fastest, but the ones who kept control of their thoughts when everything around them collapsed. During the bombings of London in 1940, during the siege of Leningrad, and in cities across Europe and Asia, ordinary civilians endured conditions that most people today cannot fully grasp. Yet millions survived because they learned to function under extreme pressure without losing their judgment. Panic wastes time, burns energy, and leads to dangerous decisions. Calm thinking keeps you alive. On this channel, we focus on practical survival knowledge, and staying mentally steady during war is one of the most important survival skills you can develop. If war ever reaches your area, your ability to stay calm may matter more than any gear you own. The good news is that calmness is not a personality trait reserved for a few people. It is a skill that can be trained and practiced long before a crisis begins. Understanding that panic is the first enemy of survival. The first step towards staying calm during war is recognizing how panic works. When people hear explosions, sirens, or sudden gunfire, the body reacts instantly. The heart races, breathing becomes shallow, and thinking becomes scattered. This reaction is natural, but it can lead to fatal mistakes. During World War II air raids, many civilian deaths happen not from the bombs themselves, but from people running blindly into unsafe areas or crowding exits. Panic narrows your thinking and pushes you toward impulsive actions. Calmness begins with slowing your breathing and grounding yourself in the present situation. When sudden danger appears, take several controlled breaths and focus on simple facts: where you are, what you hear, and where the nearest safe location might be. Even 10 seconds of controlled breathing can restore enough clarity to make better decisions. People who survived repeated bombardments often described how they trained themselves to pause before acting. That pause can be the difference between safety and chaos. Routine creates stability when the world becomes unstable. One of the strongest lessons from wartime history is the importance of daily routine. Civilians living through prolonged wars often maintained structured days, even when conditions were harsh. Routine gave people a sense of order in a disordered world and reduced anxiety by making life predictable. Keeping a simple daily schedule helps stabilize the mind. Waking at the same time, preparing meals on a regular pattern, and assigning time for maintenance tasks creates a sense of control. During the Second World War, many families in bombed cities kept regular meal times even when food was scarce. This consistency helped maintain morale and mental discipline. A practical way to apply this today is to create a basic emergency routine. Decide in advance when you will check supplies, when meals will be prepared, and when rest periods will happen. Writing this routine down removes uncertainty during stressful moments. When war disrupts normal life, routine becomes a mental anchor. Reliable information prevents fear from taking over. Fear grows fastest in an information vacuum. Rumors and misinformation have caused panic throughout history. During wartime evacuations, false reports about enemy movements often cause civilians to flee unnecessarily, exposing themselves to greater danger. Staying calm requires access to reliable information. A battery-powered radio or other dependable news source can prevent confusion. Knowing what is actually happening allows you to make rational decisions instead of reacting to rumors. Limit how often you seek updates. Constant exposure to alarming news increases stress without improving survival. Checking verified information at scheduled times keeps you informed without overwhelming your mind. People who endured long conflicts often rationed their news consumption in the same way they rationed food. Preparation reduces fear and increases confidence. You know, fear often comes from uncertainty. But when you know you have supplies, plans and options, the mind becomes steadier. Preparation creates psychological strength as much as physical readiness. Having a prepared emergency bag, stored water and preserved food really does reduce anxiety because your basic needs are already secured. Knowing where to go during an air raid or sudden attack removes hesitation. During the war years, families who had predetermined shelter locations reacted faster and with less stress than those who had to improvise. It's important to practice your plan occasionally. Walk the route to your nearest safe shelter. Test your emergency equipment. Familiarity builds confidence, and confidence supports calm decision-making. Helping others, you know, it really does strengthen your own resilience. Isolation, on the other hand, just increases fear. Folks who manage to survive tough wartime conditions, well, they often leaned on small support networks of neighbours and relatives. Cooperation in those times offered both emotional strength and practical assistance. And I'll tell you, helping others also reinforces your own calmness. When you lend a hand to a neighbour with supplies or share some useful bit of information, your mind shifts away from fear and toward action. Taking constructive steps gives you a sense of purpose, and that, believe it or not, can really counteract anxiety. Even simple acts of cooperation, like sharing cooking duties or keeping an eye on each other's homes, they go a long way in reducing stress for everyone involved. Communities that managed to stay organized during wartime, they consistently showed higher survival rates than those who tried to go it alone. Mental discipline? Well, it keeps you thinking clearly even when the pressure's on. Staying calm during war, it takes real mental discipline. That means training yourself to focus on what you can control, not what you can't. War brings a lot of uncertainty, but if you concentrate on practical tasks, it stops your mind from drifting into fear. Reading, jotting down notes, repairing equipment, or just organizing supplies, these things keep your brain busy. During those long sieges and occupations, civilians who stuck to productive habits, they coped with stress a whole lot better. Mental activity, you see, stops emotions from taking over. Another thing that helps? Reviewing emergency procedures regularly. If you repeat those simple steps in your mind, they become automatic. So when danger shows up, your practiced actions kick in and you don't waste time hesitating. Rest and recovery, I can't stress this enough, are absolutely essential for long-term calmness. Exhaustion, well, it just destroys your emotional control. If you don't get enough sleep, fear, confusion and poor judgment creep in fast. Folks who made it through wartime often talked about how important it was to rest whenever they could. Even short spells of uninterrupted sleep can help restore your mental balance. Setting up a quiet sleeping spot and, if you have to, taking turns on watch, these things can really help prevent exhaustion. Protecting your rest time isn't a luxury. Honestly, it's a key part of survival. Eating regularly and drinking enough water, they support your mental stability too. Physical weakness, let me tell you, quickly turns into emotional instability. Keeping your strength up helps you think calmly. Calm thinking, at the end of the day, is a survival skill you've got to practice. Calmness during war doesn't just happen by accident. It comes from preparation, steady routines, reliable information, and real mental discipline. History's shown us that civilians who mastered these habits were far more likely to survive long conflicts and rebuild their lives afterward. Staying calm, honestly, is one of the most practical survival skills you can develop, and it won't cost you a thing to start training today. If you found this guide helpful, go ahead and subscribe to Last War Survivor, and share this video with others who want real survival knowledge. The more people who stay prepared and informed, the stronger we all become.